Guys, I appreciate you being here.
The footage that nobody expected, Brian Snitker stepping away from the Braves, sparked more questions than answers. From emotional exits and viral locker room memories to fiery clashes on the field and a mysterious shift in his role, this story only gets darker the deeper you look. The moment that stopped baseball. He wasn't just leaving, he was leaving different. The news of Brian Snitker's retirement landed like a thunderclap across Braves country. This wasn't some routine managerial send-off, neatly wrapped with applause and handshakes. This was a farewell that felt jagged, almost unfinished, and that's why the footage of his exit went viral. It wasn't just that he was stepping down, it was the way he did it, the emotions he let slip between the carefully chosen words. At first glance, the Braves front office tried to make the moment a celebration. They rolled out gifts, flowers, even a shiny new truck, as if to say, look how loved he is. Look at the happy ending we've prepared. But beneath the surface, fans noticed something raw. Snitker's tone was different, more fragile, more conflicted. It wasn't the confident voice of a man who had orchestrated his final act. It was the hesitant voice of someone convincing himself this was right, even as his heart clung to the dugout. For years, Snitker embodied stability in Atlanta. Nearly 5 decades spent as a player, coach, minor league grinder, and finally, major league skipper. His legacy was loyalty, and in an industry built on constant turnover, that loyalty felt sacred. But the way he spoke on the day of his retirement made people question, was this really his choice? Or was this the organization carefully nudging their beloved elder statesman toward the exit before he could decide to linger? On October 1st, 2025, something remarkable happened at Truist Park in Atlanta. The longtime manager of the Atlanta Braves, Brian Snitker, officially announced his decision to step down from his managerial role, and what followed was a press conference that would capture the hearts of baseball fans everywhere and spread like wildfire across social media platforms. The setting itself spoke volumes about the gravity of the moment. Against a Blue Braves backdrop flanked by executives including President of Baseball Operations Alex Anthopoulos and Chairman Terry McGuirk, Snitker stood at a podium with a lower third banner that read simply but powerfully, "Brian Snitker will not return as Braves manager." But it wasn't just the announcement that made headlines. It was the raw, unfiltered emotion that poured out from a man who had dedicated nearly half a century to one organization.
And I was kind of excited about it because I thought, well, it's going to put a reality to it. And I was really good with it. I was very appreciative that, I never thought I'd manage one day in the major leagues, let alone 10 years.
This wasn't your typical corporate farewell. This was something different, something authentically human that resonated deeply with everyone watching. Snitker became visibly emotional while reflecting on his career, the players, and his deep ties to the Braves. There were pauses where he fought back tears, moments where his voice cracked with the weight of decades of memories, and gestures that showed just how much this organization meant to him. The footage from this press conference didn't just make local news, it exploded across social media platforms. Within hours, clips from the event were garnering thousands of views, likes, and shares on X, formerly Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. The viral nature of the content stemmed from something we rarely see in professional sports anymore: complete and total authenticity from a figure who had nothing left to prove, simply bearing his soul about what this journey meant to him. What made this moment particularly powerful was the attendance of current Braves players who showed up to honor their manager. Players like Ozzie Albies, Spencer Strider, Austin Riley, and Michael Harris II were present, a testament to the relationships Snitker had built throughout his tenure. These weren't obligatory appearances. These were players who genuinely wanted to be there for a man who had impacted their lives and careers in profound ways.
I never thought I'd hoist a trophy. Or be around a group of guys that makes this so special. Because, it's about the players. And we've been fortunate here to have probably the greatest group of players, coaches, the whole building.
One clip from MLB Network alone reached over 70,000 views shortly after posting, with engagement numbers that continued to climb as the story spread. Social media users shared the footage with captions expressing gratitude. "Thank you for everything, Snit," along with personal reflections and memories from years of watching him lead the team. The authenticity of his emotion, the way he paused to compose himself, the genuine appreciation he expressed for everyone from players to clubhouse staff, it all combined to create a moment moment that transcended baseball. But what exactly was it about this particular press conference that made it go viral? In an era where sports figures are often coached on what to say, where corporate messaging can feel sterile and rehearsed, Snitker's farewell was the complete opposite. His heartfelt and raw delivery, including multiple pauses where he fought back tears, resonated with fans who appreciated his authenticity and loyalty to the team. This was a grizzled baseball lifer, someone who had spent 49 years with one organization, letting his guard down completely. The phrase, "new footage of Brian Snitker after leaving the Braves goes viral," captured exactly what was happening in real time. This press conference video captured Snitker after leaving his managerial post in an emotional, unscripted manner, and it was precisely that unscripted nature that made it so compelling. Multiple clips from the event, shared by outlets like MLB Network and individual users, continued to accumulate significant engagement as the day went on and in the days that followed. The gifts presented during the ceremony added another layer of emotion to the proceedings. Terry McGuirk presented Snitker with a new Ford pickup truck, acknowledging his well-known love for his Ford truck and ensuring he could ride around in style in retirement. An all-expenses-paid trip to Hawaii for him and his wife Ronnie was gifted courtesy of Delta, recognizing their love for travel and the Hawaiian Islands specifically. And perhaps most significantly, the announcement that he would be inducted into the Braves Hall of Fame in 2026, his 50th year with the club.
And I said this after we won the World. It literally takes a whole building to do something special, and I've been blessed to be around great people within the Atlanta Braves organization. Everybody in that clubhouse, the player. It's about the players. The relationships and the friendships that I'll have the rest of my life for that group or the players, and it's so special.
McGuirk highlighted Snitker's legacy of character and noted the rarity of such loyalty in modern professional sports, calling him not just one of the most accomplished managers in franchise history, but also one of the finest people to ever wear the Braves uniform. This wasn't hollow corporate praise. This was genuine recognition of a man who had embodied what it meant to be a Brave for nearly 5 decades. The viral moment represented something larger than just a manager stepping down. This marked the end of an era for the Braves, as Snitker's departure was the first major organizational change following a disappointing 2025 season. But rather than focusing on the struggles of the final season, the press conference and the viral response to it celebrated a remarkable career and the human connections that had defined it. From minor league catcher to World Series champion. To truly understand the emotion behind that viral moment, you need to understand the journey that led Brian Snitker to that podium. This wasn't a man who had been handed success on a silver platter. This was someone who had earned every single moment through decades of grinding, persevering, and remaining loyal even when the spotlight seemed impossibly far away. Brian Gerald Snitker was born on October 17, 1955, in Decatur, Illinois, and grew up in the tiny town of Macon, Illinois, a rural community with a population of around 1,200 people. His upbringing was quintessentially blue-collar American. His father, Richard Dick Snitker, was a traveling salesman, initially for Pabst Blue Ribbon beer and later for Jim Beam whiskey, which meant he was on the road 4 to 5 days a week. His mother, Catherine Snitker, worked as a teacher at a local elementary school and managed the household during her husband's absences. Despite not being particularly athletic, described by high school teammates as slow-footed, not very agile or strong, and reliant on thick glasses, young Brian had a passion for baseball that couldn't be dampened. He fondly recalled playing catch with his mother in the backyard from as early as age 6, swinging a bat against a brick wall at Macon High School for practice. These simple activities, born from a genuine love of the game rather than any expectation of professional success, laid the foundation for everything that would follow. After attending Lincoln Junior College and then the University of New Orleans, where he played as a catcher, Snitker's entry into professional baseball came in 1977 when he signed as an undrafted free agent with the Atlanta Braves. It's worth emphasizing, undrafted. No fanfare, no guarantees, just an opportunity to prove himself. His playing career in the minor leagues lasted from 1977 to 1980, primarily as a catcher and occasionally at first base, with his statistical output described as modest, a .254 batting average, .316 on-base percentage, and .390 slugging percentage. He never made it to the major leagues as a player. By 1980, at just 24 years old, he was released by the Braves, having regressed to Class A and earning just $750 for the season. For most people, this would have been the end of the baseball dream, but for Brian Snitker, it was actually the beginning of something far more remarkable. Immediately after being released as a player, Snitker was rehired as a roving minor league instructor, a move that signaled the organization's early recognition of his coaching potential and baseball acumen. He was offered a role in the low minors for $14,000 a year by Hank Aaron, then the Braves farm director. This transition from player to coach marked the true beginning of his lifelong impact on the Braves organization. What followed was more than 3 decades of work in roles that most fans never see or think about. By 1982, he became a minor league manager with the Anderson Braves, leading them to their only winning season in a 5-year existence. Over the years, he managed multiple minor league affiliates, spending time with teams in Durham, Macon, Myrtle Beach, Greenville, Mississippi, Richmond, and Gwinnett. His minor league managerial record stood at 1,131 wins and 1,189 losses over 27 seasons, numbers that might not look flashy on paper but represented thousands of lives impacted and players developed. Notable achievements in the minors included leading the Myrtle Beach Pelicans to championships in 1999 and 2000, earning Carolina League Manager of the Year honors both years. But the true value of these years wasn't measured in wins and losses, it was measured in the countless players he helped develop, many of whom would later play crucial roles in the Braves' success at the major league level. Also served as the Braves' bullpen coach from 1988 to 1990 and was the third base coach for the Braves MLB team from 2007 to 2013 under managers Bobby Cox and Fredi Gonzalez. These experiences gave him exposure to the major league environment and allowed him to learn from some of the best in the business, all while contributing to teams that included future Hall of Famers. Then came May 17, 2016, the day that changed everything. At age 60, Snitker was promoted from AAA Gwinnett to interim manager after the firing of Fredi Gonzalez amid a dismal 9-28 start to the season. The Braves were in the midst of a painful rebuild, having traded away stars and focusing on developing youth. Many expected the organization to bring in a high-profile managerial candidate, but instead, they turned to the man who had been with them through thick and thin for nearly 4 decades. Under his interim leadership, the team went 59-65, showing marked improvement. More importantly, Snitker's ability to connect with players and maintain morale during a losing season impressed the front office. On October 11, 2016, he was named the full-time manager for 2017, finally getting his shot at the job he had spent 39 years working toward. What happened next was nothing short of remarkable. Under Snitker's leadership from 2016 to 2025, the Braves achieved extraordinary success that defied expectations and validated the organization's faith in their lifer. His teams amassed an 8-1-1-668 regular season record with a 5-48 winning percentage, making him the manager with the 3rd most wins in Braves history and 2nd most in the Atlanta era, behind only Bobby Cox. The franchise made 7 consecutive playoff appearances from 2018 to 2024 and captured 6 straight National League East crowns from 2018 to 2023, a level of sustained excellence that placed the Braves among the elite organizations in baseball. In 2018, he was named National League Manager of the Year after leading the team to a surprising 90-win season and their first division title since 2013. But the crowning achievement, the moment that justified every bus ride through the minor leagues, every year of modest pay, every sacrifice made along the way, came in 2021. Despite losing superstar Ronald Acuna Jr. to a torn ACL mid-season and sitting below 500 at the trade deadline, Snitker led the Braves to an improbable World Series championship, defeating the Houston Astros 4-2. This was the franchise's 4th championship and first since 1995, and it made Snitker only the 2nd Braves manager in the Atlanta era to win a World Series, joining the legendary Bobby Cox.
I've been thinking about this.
Oh my God! Wow, you're sensitive.
You know what? The simplest thing I think I could put this. You know what, boys? You guys are going to be world champions for the rest of your life.
The 2021 postseason run featured an 11-5 record, and the championship parade that followed was the culmination of a 44-year journey from the day Snitker first signed with the Braves. The image of him hoisting that trophy, something he had admitted he never thought he'd do, became an iconic moment in Braves history. The success continued. In 2022, Snitker achieved his first 100-win season with a 101-61 record, overcoming a 10.5 game deficit to the Mets in the process. The following year, 2023, saw the team post a franchise record-tying 104 wins, also tying an MLB record with 307 home runs. These back-to-back 100-win seasons represented the peak of Snitker's managerial career and cemented the Braves as one of baseball's powerhouse franchises. His managerial style emphasized player relationships, loyalty, and a family-like clubhouse culture. He often credited the whole building, from players to staff, for the team's successes. His teams emphasized strong pitching, timely hitting, and minimal load management, with Atlanta leading MLB in players appearing in 155-plus games since 2017. This old-school approach to player availability and the game itself resonated with both players and fans. Throughout all of this success, Snitker remained remarkably humble. The same person who had spent decades riding minor league buses and sleeping on couches. He was described as having a paternal leadership style, genuinely caring for his players as if they were his own children. Former players like Dansby Swanson have spoken about how Snitker served as a mentor and father figure, even attending their weddings years after they left the team. The farewell and what comes next. The 2025 season was unlike any other in Brian Snitker's managerial tenure, and in many ways, it made his emotional farewell even more poignant and meaningful. Understanding the context of this final season is crucial to appreciating why his retirement announcement carried such weight and why the response to it was so overwhelmingly supportive. The 2025 season finished with a 76-86 record, the Braves' first losing season since 2017, and a stark contrast to their recent dominance. The team placed fourth in the NL East, 20 games behind first place, and missed the playoffs for the first time since 2017. It was a year described as horrendous by some media outlets, a season that tested everyone in the organization. But here's what made this season particularly challenging, and why it provides important context for Snitker's decision. The roster was absolutely ravaged by injuries. Ronald Acuna Jr., the 2023 NL MVP, appeared in just 95 games after another ACL injury. Star third baseman Austin Riley played only 102 games. Key pitchers like Chris Sale was limited to 20 starts, Spencer Strider to 23. The list went on. Sean Murphy, Michael Harris II, Ozzie Albies, AJ Minter, Ronaldo Lopez, and Max Fried all missed significant time at various points. Snitker was forced to rely on inexperienced players and a revolving door of minor league call-ups, managing through circumstances that would have challenged any skipper. There was a late-season surge. A 10-game winning streak in September offered brief hope, but ultimately, the team couldn't overcome the accumulated losses and injury setbacks. Despite the disappointing results, or perhaps because of them, Snitker's decision to step down was made with remarkable thoughtfulness and self-awareness.
Until, and this is the truth, until like the last 3 weeks of this season, I know you can ask the coaches, I talked about, this being my last year. But I think when you're sitting in this seat, you're in the heat of the battle, I don't know, and I said I'm going to need a little time after that last out to really decide what I want to do. And I don't think, and it was after I got home and I got to decompress a little bit that, I did decide that this is the right move, because I said if you wait to retire till you're ready to retire, you never will. And I figured that out.
This quote encapsulates so much about who Brian Snitker is as a person and leader. When he had signed his contract extension 3 years prior, 2025 was designated as his final year, but as the season wore on, he found himself wrestling with the decision. The competitor in him, the part that had spent 49 years with this organization, wasn't quite ready to let go during the heat of battle. But after the final out of the season, after going home and decompressing, he came to a profound realization. If you wait to retire until you're ready to retire, you never will. This wisdom, earned through decades of experience, guided his final decision. He wasn't being pushed out. He was making a conscious choice to open a new chapter of his life while he could still enjoy it. During the press conference, Snitker mentioned losing his biggest supporter and go-to guy, an emotional reference that added weight to his decision. He explained that he needed that support system more during this past month than ever before. In all his years of managing and navigating this transition, without that person made him realize it was time. But here's what makes Snitker's retirement unique and special. He's not leaving the Braves. Instead of fully stepping away from baseball, Baseball, he will transition into a senior advisory position within the organization starting in 2026, allowing him to remain involved with the team he's been part of for nearly 5 decades.
And I saw a couple of them the other day, and it's like, you're not getting rid of me. I'm still going to be here. I'm going to be in spring training. I'm excited about this new role.
This arrangement allows him to stay connected to the team without the day-to-day pressures of managing. He'll attend spring training, provide guidance to the organization, and continue contributing his institutional knowledge, all while having more flexibility and freedom than the grueling 162-game schedule plus playoffs demanded. President of Baseball Operations, Alex Anthopoulos praised this setup, highlighting Snitker's institutional knowledge as invaluable for the team's future. During the press conference, Anthopoulos spoke emotionally about their partnership, calling it one of the great joys and honors in my career, and expressing excitement about continuing to work together in this new capacity. Perhaps most importantly, Snitker's retirement allows him to focus on something that had been sacrificed throughout his baseball journey: family time. He specifically mentioned excitement about attending his grandchildren's baseball games in the spring and summer, something he had largely missed with his own children due to his career commitments. He expressed that he didn't want to repeat that regret with the next generation. His wife Ronnie, who has been by his side through all 49 years with the Braves, was present at the press conference, and Snitker made sure to acknowledge her sacrifices and support. The reaction from the baseball community to Snitker's retirement has been overwhelmingly positive and respectful. Social media was flooded with tributes from fans expressing gratitude for the 2021 World Series championship, the 6 division titles, and the way he represented the organization with class and dignity. Posts like "Thank you for everything, Snit," and reflections on specific memories became common across platforms. Even critics who had questioned some of his recent managerial decisions, and there were valid criticisms regarding lineup construction and bullpen management during the challenging 2025 season, largely set aside those concerns to honor his overall body of work and the manner in which he conducted himself throughout his career. Looking ahead, the Braves face the task of finding Snitker's successor. Potential candidates include internal options like bench coach Walt Weiss or third base coach Eddie Perez, as well as external possibilities like former Braves coach Ron Washington, David Ross, who played for Atlanta and later managed the Cubs, or MLB Network analyst Mark DeRosa. Whoever takes over will be stepping into what many consider an enviable situation: a team with young talent like Acuna, Riley, Harris, and Strider, plus a strong organizational foundation. The challenge will be to get the roster healthy and return to contention, but the pieces are in place for another championship run. As for Snitker himself, he'll be inducted into the Braves Hall of Fame in 2026, his 50th year with the organization. This honor is a fitting recognition of everything he's accomplished and represents, ensuring his legacy will be formally preserved in franchise history forever. The viral footage of his retirement announcement will likely be remembered as one of the most authentic moments in modern sports. In an age where every word and gesture is often carefully calculated and managed, Snitker gave us something different, something real. He showed vulnerability, gratitude, and genuine emotion, reminding us that behind the wins and losses, behind the statistics and strategies, baseball is ultimately about people and the relationships they build.
You know what? And this thing's about relationships and friendships. I said, the job's not hard to leave. The relationships and the experiences and all that, it's tough. Not seeing guys every day and working relationships.
This sentiment perfectly encapsulates why the video went viral. People weren't just watching a manager announce his retirement, they were witnessing someone who had dedicated his entire adult life to one organization reflect on what that journey meant to him. They were seeing someone prioritize relationships over wins, people over statistics, and authenticity over polish. The consensus among fans and analysts is that Snitker leaves the team in an enviable situation with young talent positioned for future success, but more importantly, he leaves behind a culture and standard of how to treat people that will influence the organization for years to come. Looking back at the viral moment that started this story, it's clear why it resonated so deeply. In Brian Snitker's tears, in his pauses to collect himself, in his genuine appreciation for everyone from players to clubhouse staff to media members, we saw something that transcends baseball. We saw loyalty rewarded. We saw humility celebrated. We saw a man who never forgot where he came from, even as he reached the pinnacle of his profession. From an undrafted undrafted free agent who never made the majors as a player to a World Series winning manager with 8 on 11 career wins, Brian Snitker's story is one of perseverance, loyalty, and the power of staying true to yourself and your organization, even when the path forward isn't clear. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.